Man, fired up. Exciting week. Finally heading toward a football game. Going through so much to get to this point. I know even watching our guys move around today at practice, guys we're firing up and feeling the energy that comes to the game getting closer and closer here. So exciting times. Obviously got a bunch of respect for that program and their ability to score some points, the athletes they got running around, anticipating a tough battle with them. And we're looking forward to it, looking forward to it. 7:30 on Saturday night. A couple of just quick updates personnel wise that I might get asked about. Trayshawn Harrison has been denied his appeal to be eligible this fall, so he will not be able to play for us this fall. Addison Gums is very doubtful for Saturday. Not making any decisions past this Saturday, but very doubtful where he's at on the recovery side from, like I told you before, a hamstring. So, again, we're looking forward to getting to play a game. I know our guys are, and I'll take any questions.
Yeah, Jonathan, on the offensive line, it looks like you got Jake Levingood on the left side. How did he win that job?
Yeah, we like the physicality that he plays with. He's been here in the program for a couple of years now and really has played multiple positions. We played him a little tackle, center, guard. He's got a bunch of flexibility that way. But it came down to his attitude, and he works well with those guys that making it physical was a big piece.
It also says Anjay or John McCartan, is that going to be like a game time decision on who starts?
Yeah, a little bit. And again, like I've gone to that position in particular, you're going to see some rotation because we got some depth there with Anjay, McCartan. I mean, you're still going to see some of Riley and Tago and obviously Ham. So that's why I go back to this depth chart. We got to put a guy out for the first play, depending on the play we call on offense or the defense reacting to a personnel group, but you're going to see all those guys at outside backer.
Hey, Jonathan, you got a plethora of talented guys, a wide receiver, lots of speed, but I did notice that Champ Fleming's a starter. You got to feel pretty proud of that kid, how far he's come.
Yeah, he earns a lot, man. And he's one of our favorite players, the way he goes about things and the way he plays the game, always with great effort, competitive. He's worked really hard to become even a better receiver in his details, route running. Completely trust him out there. But you are going to see 5 to 6 receivers play in games, and we rotate a good amount, and he's part of a good group.
Hey, Jonathan, this is a unique game on so many levels. We know that. But let's talk about game prep. You've got Washington State personnel. You've got the coaching staff from Hawaii and from Wyoming. All those different nuances. How do you attack the game plan, and how much Wyoming tape do you watch versus Hawaii tape and all that?
Yeah, you're watching a bunch of really all of that you described. I mean, from the personnel side, they got some good returning players. So we're watching last year's tape on those guys and coming with some different schemes from, like you mentioned, Hawaii, Wyoming, and others. I mean, these coaches have been some different places. And so we've had a lot of time to be able to watch it. I know that delayed start through COVID and all of this. So the other thing you can't quite anticipate is everything could be, you learn some new things first game, just like we're going to run a couple of plays that we haven't run before. So it's always the first game, a little bit of nerves with that, exactly what you're going to get. You got to be able to react and adjust.
Jonathan, it sounds like Delora is going to start at quarterback for Washington State. Do you have to go back to his high school video to see what sort of a quarterback he is, or do you even bother with that?
I think we're definitely focused in on that scheme more than anything on that offense. I mean, it's a tough one to defend. Can move the ball in a lot of ways, spreading people out, and they do. They're willingly running the ball too, so it's not 100% pass. So that's a larger focus than kind of who's the trigger man behind center.
How much different is their run and shoot than the air raid that Mike ran up there?
Yeah, I have not been in either of those systems, so I don't know the exact details of how it is coached or what would be the nuances that make it different. It does feel like the receiver play has some flexibility on where they want to take their routes, depending on coverage and how they're getting covered out there and what coverage you're in. I think there's some similarities there. Sounds like I think the quarterback has some freedom too to change some plays in both systems. So I think there is some similarities. I don't know the exacts to tell you what the difference is.
You you can't really get more fired up for a game than you typically would be, but is it possible to have a greater sense of urgency for a game in a 7-game season than a 12-game season? Is there anything different about how you might approach it? Or
You're not really different in our approach, but I mean, that's a reality. You're playing less games. The games mean more, just because you're only getting guaranteed 7 of them. I think our approach and the way we're preparing is very similar to if we were playing 12 games, because I've liked it, the way we've grown from year 1 to year 2 in that approach, getting ready for games. I want to keep that consistent into year 3. I think the guys feel the urgency and the excitement that, this is a delayed start, been waiting a long time. I don't think it's anything us coaches are having to add to get them motivated.
It looks like your defense has improved. I think pretty much that's pretty fair to say. Is it possible you might take a few less chances on offense just because you've got maybe a little bit more of a reliable defense this year?
Yeah, we're going to find out what it looks like. We haven't yet to play a game. I do feel confident that we made some strides defensively from depth, personnel, getting stronger, faster. But now we got to go play. And so you got to get in these games and see how it goes. Because you're correct that some of the decisions we'll make offensively, especially like 4th down or how aggressive we are, will depend on the game flow and what kind of stops we're getting and the confidence there.
Coach, it's obviously extremely early, but do you have any idea about this team's identity yet? Do you have a sense of what this team's identity is?
You got to start playing the game to know for certain. I do think we're going to play with some great effort because we've been practicing that way. I do think we're going to be an identity that we do it together. Both sides are working to help each other out, pick each other up. We've talked about it as a staff of bringing our own energy because of the lack of fans in the crowd. I think the identity of us doing things together will show up on game days.
The game day this Saturday, without being in the hotel, what sort of a schedule would you have for the guys? I mean, they're not just going to meet up with you at the stadium at 5:00, are they on Saturday?
Yeah, it doesn't sound bad. You can watch a few games, leading up to it, right? I mean, no, we'll definitely get them probably late morning, do some type of walkthrough, and obviously there'll be some testing around that time too. Get them a meal in them, and then they'll have a little downtime, and then they'll arrive to the stadium a few hours before and get to a somewhat of a normal routine.
Coach, obviously the election is tomorrow, and I wonder, have you guys done anything internally to foster voting with your team, or will you do anything tomorrow regarding that?
Yeah, we've done a lot in regards to one. We wanted to start with just educating them on how to register, and this is going a couple of months back because we think this is really important. So we walked them through of not only just in the state, because we got guys from all kinds of states across, especially the West Coast, educating them on how to get registered, and then we've talked a lot about what positions they're voting for, how that impacts them, and so we did a whole education piece on that, and that was about a month ago. And then, it is what it is. We can't practice tomorrow, which I think is a good thing, because to make voting as important as it is this year, I'm pretty confident that, 99% of this roster will vote.
John,
Safe to say that's the highest turnout of any roster you've ever had.
Well, yeah, and I think that's nationwide. I mean, you look at it, and which is a great thing for the younger age of this country to be actively involved is a good thing. Yeah.
Jonathan, I'm asking this because it was an issue last year, at least maybe outside your program. But are there any ill feelings left with Nick Rolovich and your program at all, just from a couple of years back? And
right, no, no, there's not. We got a great respect. I mean, Nick did a great job at Hawaii. Goes to a program that we got respect for, especially being in the Northwest. And we've had some competitive games against Washington State, especially last year. As disappointing as that was for us to lose that game, it was a beautiful football game, back and forth. So no, there is not.
Hey, Coach, I've worked at the first 4 Seahawk games with no fans there, and it definitely is a different vibe. The atmosphere is tough. And it seems like some staff members and others on the sidelines are working hard to keep players engaged. What have you talked about with your staff and the players about, staying there for the long haul, 3.5 hours? And I know you're going to have crowd sounds and you're going to have a chainsaw. Is that correct?
I sure hope so. Yeah, I sure hope so. No, we've talked about it again. We're going to need to make adjustments on the sideline. So whatever, we're playing defense. Offense is over there going to make some adjustments. But when that finishes, we're going to come over and cheer our teammates on. And I think these guys will do a great job of it.
Thank you.
Obviously you've seen your secondary for 3 or 4 weeks now. What way do you feel like they're improved over a year ago?
Yeah, well, a lot. I think one, the system itself, the coverages, they're just greater understanding of it, the details, the ins and outs of it, because we got a good amount of returning players there. I think we've added some athleticism and really overall size, and the Wright brothers and Alton Julian and Keeley's added some weight. Jaden Grant is in great shape. So I think we've made strides there. I think it's a competitive room now. I mean, we've got some depth, and you got to earn your spot, earn your playing time, and that's only brought up the entire group's level of play.
Jonathan, I know we've asked a lot about Zariah during this camp, but what do you think it ultimately says about him that he was able to crack into this 2 deep for week 1? And as a freshman, you guys are really deep at that position.
Yeah, he's earned it. Yeah, he really has. He had a couple nice catches today. And so, we're going to give opportunities to guys to compete and then earn their spots on the depth chart. And he's one great example. Came in here, worked real hard, took advantage of some extra time studying this playbook, and feel confident that he's going to contribute.
He was obviously playing a really high level of high school football in Texas. Do you think that kind of helped him come in here and be ready to play?
I think so. I think any of these high school players that come from, either better conferences or schools, the level of play does matter. It's not the only thing that makes a difference for them to be able to play early, but I'm sure it doesn't hurt.
I might have missed this when you talked early on about Trayshawn Harrison, but with Trey Lowe, is
that's still pending. Yeah, we don't have the exacts on him yet.